In this video, we are going to talk about the PCOMP entry. So this entry is used to define a composite laminate. Now, a lot of the time when you see these entries get created, you have no idea what these entries look like. So today what I want to do, I want to show you what this entry looks like. So let me go ahead and close some of these windows. Let me discuss the web app we are using today. So the web app we are using today is called a Soul 200 web app. If you want to use this web app, you can visit theengineeringlab.com. At the top right hand corner, there's a link to a free trial of this web application. So if you want to start using it, that would be the pre-post web app that you would want to go ahead and click on. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and open the viewer and let's import a Nastran input file that has an existing PCOMP entry. So let me do this. Let me show you that PCOMP entry right now in the text editor. So let's go ahead and look for PCOMP here. So this is the PCOMP entry. What I went ahead and did, I took this entire input file and I've imported it here to this web application. So let's go ahead and turn off some of these labels. And here, if we turn on these checkboxes here, let's go ahead and see what's going on here. Okay, so if you look at what's going on here, we have a few layers in this PCOMP entry. If you click this button here, it's going to assign a unique color to each angle. So all the 85-degree layers are pink, all the negative 85-degree layers are blue, all the positive and negative 60-degree layers are green. So this PCOMP entry here, which has 85, negative 85, 60, and negative 60-degree layers, that's what we're looking at right now. So let's go ahead and turn off that for now. So this is what our mesh looks like. Let's go ahead and turn on the layers again. Again, these are the layers of the PCOMP entry. Now let's go ahead and modify some of these layers. So to do this, we open what's called the pre-panel, the pre-web app. That's this button here on the bottom left. Let's look for PCOMP. And now this is the PCOMP entry. Let's go ahead and slide to the right a little. All the different layers of that composite are here in this column group 1. Let's move this to the side a little. Let's move this to the right. So if you have to scroll left or right, you can either use the horizontal scroll wheel on the mouse, but I suspect many mice in the world do not have that horizontal scroll bar. What you can do, you can press and hold the control key and use the vertical scroll bar. Or is the shift key? Let me see. It's the shift key, sorry. So press and hold the shift key and use the scroll wheel to move horizontally. So before, the scroll wheel will only go up and down, but now if you press and hold the shift key, it can move left and right. So here I'm using that to move left and right. Now let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and increase the thickness for layer 1. So this is layer 1, layer 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on and so on. Let's go ahead and give it a thickness of 1. I have no idea what that looks like, so we'll see what that... Oh, okay. So this pink layer, this is layer 1. Let's go ahead and reduce the thickness a little bit more, maybe 0.1. Right, so this is layer 1. Right now, this is what we're looking at. Now, let's go ahead and modify this value called Z0. So that would be this column here. You could turn on the descriptions, and this would give you more information as to what the value does. Z0, that's going to offset the laminate. So here I use positive 0.1. So now the laminate has been offset to be above the elements, if you will. So here, let's go ahead and zoom out and zoom back in. So you can see the laminate, it is above the 2D elements. So this would be the 2D elements. Let me move this a little so you can see that. And now let me move it a little closer to the 2D elements. So now we're offsetting by 0.05. The offset, if this was in units of inches or millimeters, this 0.05 is in inches or millimeters. It has units of length. So now what happens when it's 0? So you can see that the first layer starts right where the 2D elements are. So that's what's going on now. What happens when I use negative 0.1? So then that first layer, it's going to be shifted -1. So that's where we're at right now. Let's go ahead and use negative 0.2 rather. And then negative maybe 0.4. So you can understand how to use the Z0 value. So you can see, okay, now our laminate is way off from the elements. So if you're new to the PCOMP entry, you usually leave the Z0 field blank. So basically, the offset is half the laminate thickness, if you will. Alternatively, you can use 0.0, and that will put you right there. So the first layer is starting off where the 2D elements are. Okay, so now let's do a few things. Let's maybe add a few additional rows to the laminate. So let's go ahead and hold the shift key, move to the right. Right now we have, I believe, 8 layers. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go add maybe 4 more layers. So we'll click on add row here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we have additional rows here. You'll notice that we're only showing 10 rows, but we should have 12 rows. Right now the table is showing page 1 and then page 2 of the table. You could display at most 20, 50, 100, or 200 rows. We'll click on 20. And if we move to the left a little, we'll see we show all 12 layers, if you will. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some thicknesses to these additional layers. So what you could do, you could add the values manually. So in a moment, you'll see my new layers here. So these are the 4 new layers that are in gold color. So you can manually modify the layer thicknesses, or you can use this top row here. So we'll go ahead and use 0.01 here. You could click this arrow button, and this will carry the value to every row that's visible. So here, let's use 0.02 as an example. 0.02. And now every row is using 0.02. You can see the layers are a little thicker. Now let's suppose that I create additional layers, maybe 16 layers. So we'll click this button, add row 4 more times. I think I have 4. Oh, 17. Let's delete that layer. And now let's go ahead and display at most 10. If we use 0.01 here in this top row and click this button, 0.01 is only carried over to every visible row. If we go to the second page with the next layers, you can see it's still 0.02 and blank. So what you can do alternatively, you can click this button called Batch All. Let me hide this for a moment. This button here, click that button and it turns red. Now when you click 0.01 in this button here, it's going to carry that value to every visible and invisible row. And you even get a warning saying, hey, this value is getting carried over to every row. Are you sure? We say, yes, carry that value to every row. So now all 16 layers have that new thickness value of 0.06. Okay, now what about the orientation angles? Let's go ahead and focus on that for a moment. Actually, let's go ahead and select a ply material, if you will. Here, I'm going to say, select that mat 8 entry we created before this tutorial, assign it to every row, and now every row is using that ply material mat 8. So mat 8, mat 8, 1, and so on and so on. If we go here to bulk data, select entry, and go to mat 8, this is the mat 8 that was configured before this exercise. So here what we're saying is, for each layer, use that mat 8 entry that we created before this tutorial. Okay, let's focus on the angles now. So maybe we'll go ahead and display 20 rows. And we'll go ahead and move this here. Let's start giving these layers some angles. So now let's go ahead and do this. Maybe this is positive 45, negative 45, 0, and then maybe 90. And then we'll just go ahead and repeat that stacking sequence of 45, negative 45, and so on and so on. One thing you can do, you could take advantage of symmetry. So here, instead of defining all 16 layers, what you could do is this. Let's go ahead and maybe delete these layers. So you can see that the laminate is being updated in the back. 45, negative 45, 90. Oh, I think I got my bearings mixed up here a little. 90 and 0 here. So let me delete all of these rows here for now. And then I want to delete this here. Okay, so here on the right is my current laminate, and I want it to be symmetric. You could define 16 layers and then manually modify each layer to be symmetric, or you can use this laminate option here. If you look at the lam column, you get a few options here. You could either use the symmetry, the mem, the bend, the smear, or the SM core. Here we'll say use the symmetry option. And now you'll notice that the layers from one side are automatically duplicated and symmetric on the other side. So here, if you count the number of layers, we have 16 or 17 layers. I think it would be 18 layers actually. If you count the number of layers, there would be 18 layers here, but we've only defined half the number of layers here. So again, we define half the layers, use the symmetry option, and then Nastran will internally know that you want an equal number of layers on the opposite side of the line of symmetry. Okay, so now maybe we want to add a core layer. So let me do this. Let me change the thickness to maybe 0.001. Yes. And let's change the core layer. Let's increase layer 9. And let's go ahead and increase it a little more. Right, so here I've configured something maybe with a core layer. So here in gold, there's our core. You can see the layer thickness is very large, but the layer thicknesses for the plies are actually very small. It's a 0.001. Okay, now let me go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and make sure. Since we're assuming the last layer, layer 9, is the core layer, maybe you don't want to output stresses and strains. Or maybe you do, I don't know. So we'll go ahead and maybe select yes for this exercise. Okay, now one other thing. Here on the left, we get the same input. Whatever you modify here on the left, it's updated here on the right. So if we wanted to add an additional row, so let's do that. Add a row. Let's maybe give this an angle of 2. And let's give it a material and maybe a thickness. You can see that layer has been added here to my PCOMP entry, as you see here on the screen. Maybe I don't want that layer. That's okay. Just delete the layer, and then that's what you have. Now, quick comment about the formatting. Most tools are programmed to format the entry like this. This is what might confuse you a little. So you can see that each row in the entry is being used to define 2 layers. This is layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, layer 5, layer 6, and so on and so on. Here, we don't do that. I think that might be a little too confusing. We just put each layer in its own row. We think that's a little easier to interpret. Okay, what else is there to do? We'll do an analysis in a moment. Let me do this. Oh, right. So okay, perfect. So these are 2D elements, and then our laminate is on top of the 2D elements. Sometimes the 2D elements are used to represent the outer mold line. So that's why sometimes it's good to experiment with that Z0 option. So this is the default. When it's blank, this is what it looks like. So the laminate, the 2D elements are in the middle of the laminate, but if we say use an offset of 0, then it puts the laminate on top of the 2D elements. So the Z0 will depend on what your application is. Okay, let's now talk about running Nastran. So let's try and run Nastran. Let's see if we get results. So let me do this. Let me go to the LBC's display panel here on the left hand side. Let's turn off the preview for the laminate. Let's go back to post. And then this cylinder was subjected to an internal pressure. So this is before deformation. Let me scale up the deformation actually. Scale it up even more. Okay, so this is before deformation and then after deformation. So before and after. And if I rotate this, you'll see what the effect is. Okay, let's look at some apply stresses. I believe that's available here. So let's go ahead and select the stress quad 4 comp option. Let's go ahead and select subcase 1. Now, when you mark the checkbox, you are not going to see results yet. You have to tell it what layer do you want results for. So maybe you want to look at results for layer 1. Let's go ahead and pick maybe the layer, or actually I don't want that. Let me see. Right, let's turn off the deformations for a moment. When you turn off the deformations, you can then display the directions for that layer. So I say yes. You can see this is the direction of that layer. And then I forget what the first angle was. It was 45 degrees. I think there might be a bug here. This first layer should be 45 degrees, but this does not look like, oh, you know what? I think I know why. Right, I don't think this is 40. Oh, okay, I know what's going on. So we have a small glitch here. Let me do this. Let's download the bulk data file. So that would be this option here. This tool is still in development. So we have a composite with 16 or 18 layers. If you look here at the original PCOMP entry, it's still displaying 8 layers here, which is not correct. The results are being displayed assuming we have 8 layers, which is not correct. But we know we should have 16 layers like we had a moment ago. So what you have to do, you have to download the bulk data file. And you have to actually open a new window for the viewer. So let's go ahead and do that now. If we look at that bulk data file that we have on our desktop, so that would be this file here. You notice that this PCOMP now has those 19 layers. So we'll take that new bulk data file that we've downloaded and we'll import it here. So that would be this file here. And let's go ahead and run this. So you'll notice one thing here. We have 18 layers there. And then when we go to post, we'll do the same thing. We'll go ahead and display the stresses. We'll turn off the deformations, and then we'll go ahead and look at 1, and we'll display the directions. Okay, now the angle is correct. So this is a 45 degree layer. What was happening here a moment ago, we had a glitch, which is going to get fixed in the future. I should mention that the tools that you see right now are still in development. So that's why we have things like this. So here, this angle, we know layer 1 is for 45 degrees. But here, it's actually displaying an angle of 85 degrees, which was this angle here. This is not correct. So we'll have to go ahead and fix this in the future. So this is layer 1, that's 85 degrees. So this is an outdated layer. We have to export the bulk data file. We have to re-import it so we could get the correct directions displayed here. So this is layer 1, layer 2, which is negative 45 degrees. This, I believe, is 0 or 90 degrees. So let's go ahead and look at layer 3. What is layer 3? Layer 3 is 0 degrees. So layer 3 is 0 degrees. So this is our 0 degree direction. This is 45 degrees, positive 45, negative 45, 90 degrees, positive 90 degrees rather, and then repeat it again, positive 45, and so on and so on. So now you could do a few other things. Say you wanted to know the maximum apply stress in the one direction for every layer. You can select all the layers. So here you would press Control All. Okay, that's not working, I guess. You go Shift and select the last layers. So selecting all 18 layers. Let's turn off the directions. And then you know that layer 9 and 10 are the core layers. So we don't want to know what the layer stresses are in the core. We just want to know what the highest layer stress is for the plies, if you will. So layers 1 through 8 and 11 through 18. So here, let's turn on the labels. Let's find the max value. Here, I get told that element ID 16 layer 3 is producing the highest ply stress, if you will. So that's one other thing. Let's see, what else is there to do? You could look at the layer stress or ply stress in the 2 direction, shear stress, outer plane shear stress, I believe it is. So there are a few other things. So that's how you work with the PCOMP entry. There's one thing I did not mention in this tutorial: the material coordinate system for each element. So this is very important when you're dealing with composites. Basically, you want to ask and answer one question: what is the 0 degree direction? So there's a whole separate tutorial that talks about the material coordinate system. I recommend watching that video first. Orient all of your material coordinate systems to however you want. You're effectively orienting the 0 degree direction. Once you have all the 0 degree directions in the right direction, then you come to this video and you experiment with the PCOMP entry. So yeah, that's how you work with the PCOMP entry. Now, just in case you do have a question, you can contact me at this email address, and I will try and get back to you as soon as possible. So that's the end of this video, and as always, thank you for watching.